today's question is about flattening a nested list. So we will be given with a list of nested lists. Nested list is nothing but their own data structure in which we will have three functions, which is isInteger function, getInteger, and getList function. So they will give us input something like this. So inside the this is a list of nested integer iterators. So in this one, the first element is this one. If for the first element, if we do get is integer, then it will return false. For the second element, if we do is integer, then it will return true. Then for the third element, if we return if we say get is integer, then it will return again false. For whenever it is returning true, right, then we have to retrieve the element by saying get integer, or if it is returning false for this type of element, then we have to retrieve the element by saying get list. In this get list, it will return again it will return us a list of nested integers. So this will be recursively we'll be able to get it. So our task is to flatten this nested list. So our output should be like this. So 1 2 2 sorry 1 1 2 2 1 1 kind of thing which is flattened. So let's take an example, and let's understand how we can solve this. Let us take an example like 1 2, and inside a nest we will take 3 and 4, and inside one more nest we will take 5 and 6, and we will close the nests, and outside the main first list we will take 7. So let's take this as the example and see how we can flatten this. So since this is a nested recursion, right, since this is a nested list, we have to use recursion to solve it. Okay, let's take say this is the example. We will write a function called as flatten. Let me call it f. So we will be calling the flatten with this entire list. Okay, whatever this it will return us, we will be storing it into one list variable. This is what we will be doing. Let's see how this flatten works. So first of all, flatten using these functions which they have given us is this is integer function. So whenever is integer, for each element we will be traveling from left to right. Whenever for each element it returns is integer is true, then we will directly append in the result of this function call. So this function call will have its result in a list. So whenever we while traversing we find it as an integer, then we will be directly append it inside the list using getInteger function. So here the isInteger function will return true. Using getInteger we will get the value and we will append it in our result set. Now for this next element, which is this one. Okay, for this one the isInteger will return false. So what we will do, this one we will pass it into one more function. We will call this into one more function call where we will be calling this one. Okay, we'll be calling this one in this function call. Here again this will have its own result result list. So in this one it will travel one by one. The first element, when it's traveling, it will return is integer is true. Then we will, using getInteger, we will append it to the result, and next it will go to the next element, which is the 4. Here it will again is integer will be true. So using getInteger function we will append it in our result set. Now the next element is again a list. Okay, the list consists of 5 and 6. So what we will do, then the next input 5 and 6 will be called into one more function, which is the function called with this 5 and 6. Okay, as the input. So in this one again, in its result list, it will append 5, which is an integer, and again it will append 6, which is an integer. Okay, like this the call of this second one, third recursion depth got completed by 5 and 6. This one got completed, so we will this result will be returned to this function call. When that happens, we will be appending all this result which has been written into the main list, okay, which is at that level. So our main list will become this, okay. Now this recursion call of the main list which is containing these elements also got completed, came to an end. So this will again return back to wherever it was called from, okay. While it does that, we will use this result and we will be appending it into the main list. So this 3, 4 and 5 will be appended here in the main list, okay. Now till this point we completed our functions. Now it's time to process the next element in the list. So there we have 7. When we do get isInteger, it will return true. Using getInteger, we will get this value and we will append it into the list. Now we have to process the next element. We reach the end of the list, we processed everything, so this is our final flattened list. So after getting this flattened list, then the iterator implementation will be straightforward. Let us first implement this function. Let me implement this function in Python. So let me take this. So first in our constructor we should construct our flattened list, which will be storing in self.list, okay. In this one we will be storing the flattened okay, flattened list, we will be storing it. So using this function we will flatten our list and we will store it here. After store, let us try to flatten this now. So when we get a list here, let me call this nl. So for each element in this list, we will check whether that is getInteger is true or false. If this isInteger function is true, then we can directly append into our function's result. So let me take one variable empty list. In this one we will append, okay. While appending, we have to get the value of this element and we have to append. So since this is an integer, we will say getInteger, okay. Now if it is not, then what we have to do, we have to call this again into the recursive function. Recursively we have to call, because it will be a list, again a nested list. So we will do get list function. Since it is a list, we will do get list and we will call it, and this whatever result we are getting, we will extend it into this. Extend means we will add everything into the our result, extend, okay. This way we will get our result in the form of a flattened list. We will return this. So whatever we computed and whatever we return will be stored into our self.l. So we will compute our len of this whatever flattened list for checking the boundaries, and let us use one index variable so that we can iterate over that. In index we will assign it to 0, okay. Now our initial thing in our init function is ready. Now let us whenever they are asking for next, we will just return this return whatever is in our flattened list. We will return it on whichever index we are currently on, okay. Before this we have to increment this I. So we will increment this I, but we have to return the current element, right? So we will keep it in one temp variable, then we will increment it and we will return the temp, okay. HasNext, it will just check whether this I is less than n or not. Okay, we'll return this issue in my code. So this is not a, this is a member function, remember, is integer, so we have to do x dot is integer, like we did for x dot get and x dot list, right? So let me try to run this again. So it ran fine. Let me try to submit it now. Yeah, it got submitted. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.